Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Emad. Welcome to another episode of eVlogs. As you can see from the title here, this is a tough one because there's a lot being said on George Floyd's murder. There's a lot should be said. Hopefully, everyone is aware of what's going on in the world right now, where an African American was murdered in broad daylight by the police officials in the States, which has now led to mass protests, riots, more brutality from the government and the police officials, and it just chaos right now in the US. Literally, when you see clips online, it looks like a third world country right now. I had to talk about something. I wanted to say something, but I just didn't want to jump on just because it's a trending topic. I wanted to have my own point of view. There's a lot of great stuff people are already saying that has a lot of merit. So I wanted to come from a sort of different angle. I'm here living in Dubai, miles and miles away from the protests of what's going on. It's very easy for me to condone the actions and point at white people or the white system back there, which everyone should. But I want to talk about more the point of view of, as a young father of two children, as a brown man, as a Muslim man, what are my sort of responsibilities? And I think the first thing is to acknowledge and admit the inherent racism we also have, and how we aren't their problem but are part of the problem somewhere, and how can I ensure that my kids don't grow up with those kind of feelings towards black people. And secondly, which is also extremely important, is to ensure that my children, brown children, grow up confident and secure with their skin color. So those are two sort of facets I want to talk about. This subject is honestly very close to my heart. And just talking about sort of racism in the brown community, how we're pretty racist, and how skin color plays a huge part. And I can just speak about myself, guys. One of the biggest insecurities I had growing up, honestly, was to do with my skin color. If you looked at my immediate family, I am on the darker side compared to them. And I always grew up with some of that inferiority growing up as a kid. And there are various different things that made me feel like that. I mean, it would be for conversations of us watching Bollywood movies and somebody commenting saying, look at that actor, how is he a star, a hero, if he's so dark? And that actor would have the same complexion as mine, right? And just hearing the definition of beauty growing up was always about being fair-skinned, being light-skinned. Ask just if there's any Indian girls watching this who are dark-skinned, just ask what they have gone through growing up, and God forbid you have a sister or sibling who's light-skinned, and look at the comparisons the girls go through. And you know what? If you are a female who's dark-skinned, who's pretty, it's almost like, wow, what an achievement. She's dark and she's beautiful. That's how that happened. I recall growing up, and we'd play outside, we'd get tanned, and then you'd come in and some brown auntie in the house would be like, oh my God, what happened? You got so black. Kale ho gayo. These are kind of statements you grew up with. And as a young kid, it's like, why does my complexion matter? And it got to a point, I remember I used to put on like the Fair and Lovely cream, another product endorsed by celebrities and like Indian celebrities, which makes you feel like you're inferior if you're dark skinned, you're missing out, and you want things to work out in life, you better get lighter. So these are kind of things that I grew up in, and I was on the side of feeling insecure because of this. But when these things instilled in you, if you're on the opposite side, the advantageous side, then you grow up with this inherent sort of feeling of being above somebody because you have, you're fair or lighter skinned, right? I even recall, in the high school I went to Lebanese high school in Dubai, and just that school, if God forbid one of the Arab girls or guy would date a brown guy, I mean, God forbid, that was just like not allowed, And again, growing up in the Middle East, seeing a lot of the laborers here, from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, it's not like everyone's being openly racist to you every day, but it gets into your mind that this is sort of the labor class, and this is who you are, and this is where you belong. So those are sort of insecurities that creep in when you're a young kid, and not everyone is able to get out of it. And parents and all of us need to realize the comments we remark on dinner tables, the lighthearted racist jokes we make, the movies we watch, the music we listen to, the way we treat domestic help, everything we do in every minute detail is picked up by our children, and it affects and has an impact. And it's going to make your child a racist in some form, or it's going to make your child insecure depending on what situation they're in. And we need to be conscious of that, because that is a huge problem in our communities. I mean, and answer yourself, look at how we treat each other. I mean, as an Indian, I'm from North India. Look, we're so racist South Indians. And you know what? I'm a big part of that. I mean, we used to make a lot of jokes growing up about South Indians, and it's just what it is, and it's not even considered wrong. But that's blatant racism that we would be doing, and the same thing goes on in all our communities here. So I'm not saying that we are the ones who've triggered what's happened in the States, but I think it's important to acknowledge that we are somewhere part of the problem. Yes, we can go on and put all this stuff on Instagram and stuff, but acknowledge the inherent racism that's in our culture. I'll put a safe thing to you. Ask any, sort of Muslim parent watching this, if your daughter brought home a pious, righteous black man, how would you react? Just take that in for a second, because I know that our older generations would not be able to handle that. Black men, no way, bro. Like, that's just the mindset. It was unfortunately so narrow. And the funniest thing is that we as a community, as people, dealt with colonialism. So we've dealt with all the stuff that the British did on us, which made us feel insecure and inferior because of skin color. And instead of combating that, we've just pushed that outward. It's an inherent problem we have, and something we definitely need to sort of fight within us, And just as a parent, like, I'll talk to my son. He's 5.5. He asks a lot of questions, and as I told you, kids are so observant. And he, at a younger age, would tell me, Dad, like, you're brown and I'm white. That's what he would tell me, and that's such a thing for a kid to say. Like, I'd be like, how does he even notice skin color, right? And I know you don't know what the right answer is. I try to tell him, look, skin color doesn't matter. There are lots of different shades, but son, you're not white. You're brown, though. You might be a lighter shade of brown, but you're still brown. But no, he'd be like, no, Dad, I'm white. I'm white or pink, but you're brown. And me and my wife, we never joke about these things. These are never things we pass in comments at home. Like, I'm very particular about this, especially because of what I've been through as a child. But they feel it, man. My son goes to a predominantly white school, and the idea of beauty and how you're supposed to be, and the standard is that white blonde kid, right? And maybe that's part of our fault, man. That's on us as parents. But that's where he grows up. He watches cartoons, his TV, his Avengers, his Iron Man, his Spider-Man, Batman, Captain America. They're white, and that's what he thinks is his hero. So thank God for Black Panther. Thank God for Miles Morales and Spider-Man, that our kids have colored heroes to look up to as well. That's the problem, and I don't know what the solution is. And I'm speaking more to sort of the Orthodox Muslim brothers and sisters of mine who are afraid of the arts. And till you're not telling your story, till you're not writing the books, till you're not part of the narrative, like, you will be that 10th character in a book or a movie with the 9 white people and a 1 token brown Muslim dude, just because, right? And that's what our kids grow up in. So we need our children to see themselves as leads in stories, so they're not insecure about their complexion. And a result of that non-insecurity would mean, hopefully, that they don't treat others, hopefully, with a darker skin or black people like that either. Let's look at this opportunity of what unfortunate thing that happened to George Floyd, which is sort of the tipping point for everybody right now. And then instead of for me to sit here and just look at America and blame America for everything, I think we all need to sort of have honest conversations at home with our families, with our parents, with our spouses, with our kids, and identify and ensure that we kill even that tiniest little bit racist bug that we have built inside us somehow over the years. So yeah, guys, this is just my take on it, that, we pray that George Floyd and his family, are given justice, and that hopefully this is the turning point to better things, that people have said enough is enough. And the only way to change is to start from our own homes and to improve from within. That's all I got. Peace.